Well, hello, model car fans. Welcome to the Muscle Car Modeler. My name is Raul, and let me tell you a story that is not a how-to, but it's actually my first foray into actually printing decals and getting them on the model car. So, a little bit of a backstory here. Since I've got this channel, but I'm always learning something, and there's a lot of things that I have a lot of experience on, and painting and building these model kits as my experience grows. But there are some things that I haven't actually attempted or tried before, and then obviously printing decals is one of them. So this get into my story here and what happened here. But first, the subject. This is a resin kit. It's a 73 Motion Manta Ray. It hasn't been available in 20 something years, from what I understand. And I was lucky enough to get one offered to me, which, thanks to this channel, that's how it happened, because of the other ones I built. But so this came my way, and it's a big resin body, and it came with decals. And guess how old the decals are? Well, they're at least 20 years old as well. So, I have a little bit of issues with them, and I was playing with them, but I got to paint the car red. And thankfully, I took some advice that, I've heard and over the years and everything. I scanned the original decals before I touched them. I also took a couple of sheets and made an actual just photocopy of them, which, this is how they were printed. Now, this is a little bit more blotchy because the ink soaks into the paper and the lines kind of disappear just a little bit. So when I really get that up there, you can kind of see the lines kind of disappear. But in the actual decals, they're a little bit much better. But, I had cut a couple of these up. So here are the set that I cut up to use as patterns. And I did this because I knew I had to paint the whole back section black. So I wanted to know about where the decals were going to lay. And I just used these to see where exactly they were going to go. I'm like, okay, these ended up being useful for something else as well. So I could see and cut it here, and I can wrap this around. And same thing with this, that pretty much where it's going to lay, where it's going to line up. So that answered a lot of questions on where to mask off and paint the black section. Now this has not been clear coated. Now this being the hood stripe, you can kind of see here that I knew I was going to have to paint some of this. Now this red line is masked off and painted and sprayed, and I was having a hard time getting it to kind of follow, but the decal doesn't even follow the actual mold as well, so you can kind of see right there in the shine. So I did that, and it came out pretty nice as far as how it was masked. But then I had all of this. Then I decided I was going to lay this one down first. So I cut that off of the original decal sheet. Now, when I started to lay it down and get it to line up, it's really thin. I didn't know if it was clear coated or how it was clear coated. I assumed the decals were fully prepped. So this one did go down a stick, but you can see it really wrinkled up and textured. It did lay down. The clear coat's going to hide a lot of that. That'll get buried in the clear. But you can see where the black is and where the decal is. So I could have, snugged it up a little bit more, but then I had issues in these corners. So it came out pretty decent. And then, I started to work on the sides here. And this side came out great. This side, if you look carefully, you can see there's a crack right there. All right. And that was because of how this flare sticks out, and it just really didn't want to contour to that. It was tearing. The rest of it stuck down really nicely. So I'm like, okay, now as much farther as this sticks out, these back ones turned into a real pain. I couldn't get the ones from the original decal to lay down at all. And you can see on the inside where it kind of folds over, kind of goes a different angle. When I clear coat it, I'll probably black all that out so it isn't quite as obvious. So I got that to do. So when I started to run into that, I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna need to get some decals. So I was like, well, I can mask these sections off and try and paint them. And I was almost there, but it's kind of a unique situation where part of the spoiler is red, the back half is black, but that's how this 73 Manta Ray from Motion is. So as far as the one surviving, and I'm just kind of duplicating that car. So, all right, with that going on, first thing I did was, I think this was one of the first ones, I was playing around. So I printed a set. I was playing with my settings. And then obviously I realized these are a little big. Now, thankfully, I had these so I can put them right next to them and I can see right away, okay, that's not going to work. I need to scale them down. So I was trying to figure out the printer settings, and you know, then I got this one. I'm like, all right. So this one's pretty darn close. It's not exact, but it's really close. I'm like, okay, that's close enough. I can make that work. All right, so I kept playing with the settings. All right, and it was getting there. I pulled out my testers. I just had some decal paper. I had a 6-pack. It has 3 pages of white decal water slide paper and 3 of clear water slide decal, which is these right here, but it's 3 of them. And it says on the back, inkjet clear and an inkjet white water slide. So, and I've had this a long time, so I've been kind of sitting. So I dug them out, found them, because I didn't know where they were. Then I realized, oh, they're a different size. So now I need to get my printer settings down to this size. So I made the sheet the same size as the printer paper. And then I was playing with the settings, and I print like this. I was having other issues. I scaled it down, but it printed that way and not this way. So I was just wasting ink, but I was playing around with my settings till I get it. And every time I pressed print, it defaulted back to the original settings. For whatever reason, Windows and my HP printer, every time I printed it, it wouldn't save the settings. It went right back to default. Probably a good thing, but I was getting issues like this. So every time I do something, I thought I'd have it on landscape, or I'd have it on this, or I'd have it set to 5x7, or, you know, try to do it photo and everything. And I'm like, all right, I thought I had it. I'd get close, I thought I'd have it. I'd load that sucker in and print it, and all of a sudden it'd be way over here. This is one of the nicer ones, but it printed way off. It started way back here, and I'm like, what happened there? And then I quickly found out that don't touch it. It needs some time to dry. Leave it alone. So I'm like, all right, you know, learning patience, learning things. And this is over the last couple of nights. I didn't do this in one day. I was trying to, but I was getting a little frustrated. Decided I want to walk away, breathe, do something else, come back to it. But I only had 3 sheets of these. So it was kind of getting messed up. Then I had another time where it went over here. It tried to print it way over here, not centered. I ran it back through, and I thought it was completely dry, and then the printer grabbed some of that and pulled it off. I'm like, okay, it's making a mess. So I'm like, well, it doesn't really matter, because all I really want is just these 2 back sections. I'm like, all right. And as you can see, when it prints on this paper, the lines are much more, oh, they don't soak right into the paper. So the lines are much nice, but don't touch them because you can kind of see a little spotchy there. But I'm not laying this over white. I'm laying it over red. So even though, you know, some of it might be a little thin, you know, it's dark enough we're not seeing it. There's a tiny little red dot right there that I'll put some paint on, or just touch it with the permanent marker before I put the clear on. But that'll get a tiny little touch up, you know. And there might be a couple more on here where I'll go over and figure them all out. So I got that far. Well, this one came out almost real nice, and it printed. So then I let it sit, let it dry. Then I took it outside, and I had some aerosol clear that Ryan bought. And I'm like, all right, I sprayed some of this, and I just played with a little bit of it just to see if it sealed it. And it did, because I found out if I didn't have the clear on and I got it wet, the ink rubbed right off. I'm like, okay, don't do that, because this one piece I cut out, I had clear down here, but as you can see by the shine on the black, the clear is really good here, and it gets a little spotchy here. but once I got it wet, the black ink would just come right off. It's like, okay. So, and then I put this one back in and I tried one more time. And as you can see, this one's a bit shorter. This is the one, even though I got all this garbage up here, it printed real nice, and I got the 2 end pieces at the very bottom, and that's all I really needed. And then of course there's the center stripe here, which that's the real thin one. So I finally got them. I clear coated a huge chunk of this sheet and I got them. I was like, all right, cool. I'm getting somewhere. I'm finally getting somewhere and figuring this out. So then those are the back ones that are laid on there now. Now that thin little line, that's right there in the spoiler. The spoiler has a black pinstripe that goes around where the pinstripe goes up on the top of the spoiler and around and back down. Now I cut it in sections because I couldn't make those turns. So that's actually 5 pieces, or straight with a bend, straight, and then corner pieces. Okay. And I also found with this stuff, you know, it's real thin. You hit it with a setting solution and it'll wrinkle up. Don't touch it again. Just kind of leave it alone. So it was working out. I got a couple of spots right here as well of the red, by the way. You can kind of see it right there. So I got a couple areas to touch up, but I was getting somewhere. I finally was like, all right, this is working out. It's laying down, it's sinking in. It's working. So I finally got all the stripes on this, and this thing is pretty much ready for clear. Just got a couple of tiny little touch-ups. You know, painted the headlight buckets, painted this piece. That's all airbrushed black. But I did it in sections. I did this piece first, then I did the whole back section in a second setting, because I'm masking everything. Then back here 3, and then the headlights 4. So got all the black on there, and then started working on the decals. So this was quite an adventure for me. Definitely stepping out of my comfort zone with something I hadn't actually done before, but pretty simple, I don't want to say straightforward. It was mainly frustration with not knowing the settings and everything. But I mean, you can see the lines in there came out pretty good. Got, you know, an area or 2 to touch up, an area or 2 of red to touch up. But this thing's pretty much ready for clear. So real happy with the results. But yeah, it was frustrating, and you know, sometimes just had to step away, get my mind right. But when you're learning something and not anticipating, it's like once I got it to print like this, I'm like, oh, this ought to be easy. Duplicate all the settings and print it again. And then all of a sudden it was in the wrong spot. It moved, it shifted. Because even here, it didn't land in the right spot, but it's still, I had enough back here. I'm like, okay, it shifted, but not too far down. This one actually shifted farther down where the paper was right here at the end. But I was cutting that anyway for the blacked out section. So it worked out. I got one more sheet that I didn't print on, and I managed to get all of the stripes on here without painting them, doing them decal wise. So definitely learned something new, acquiring skills the hard way. But anyways, you guys, I wanted to share my story with that, and let you guys know this is definitely a first for me, but happy with the results. But yeah, it was quite a learning curve, but not too bad for, you know, my first time here. You know, usually I've paid and had custom decals made, but these ones were already pretty much made. I had the pattern and they were just black. So I thought, you know what, this one is something I should be able to try and do. And I did accomplish it. I'm really happy. And you know, some of them is kind of funny looking at how small they are. But trying to scale them, that was interesting. Anyways, you guys, thanks for tuning in, subscribing, and all your support and everything. I really do appreciate it, you guys. You have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next time.